now. Trying. Oh, Dan, I told you. He picked him up and slammed him to the ground. He's out.
To this day, the greatest slam in the history of the sport.
It's awesome watching my dad on TV because my friends become there, be like, that's your dad. Like, yep, that's my dad.
What, you don't know me? Hell no. Hey, I think that's a little. Oh! Easy.
If you enjoy deep dives into the wildest stories in MMA history, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Now let's step into the world of Quinton Rampage Jackson. Born on June 20th, 1978 in Memphis, Tennessee, Quinton Ramon Jackson grew up in a rough environment.
I grew up in Memphis. In the hood, but it wasn't like South Central, but it wasn't like Orange County, you know what I'm saying?
His father, who struggled with addiction, left the family when Quinton was just 10, and young Jackson got involved in street fights and even drug dealing.
I was selling drugs at 8 years old. I was just a product of my environment. Some guys that lived across the street from me were a lot older. They liked me. They taught me how to fight. I was drinking and smoking weed at 8. And bitches, I thought I was grown.
8 years old, you were fucking?
Oh, fuck yeah. My first time fucking, I was 5.
Whoa!
Yeah, I just grew up too fast.
I wasn't always surrounded by positive people and positive stuff when I was younger, but I came out okay though.
Jackson's fiery temper as a child earned him the nickname Rampage. Relatives would deliberately provoke him just to watch his explosive outbursts.
My cousins and my siblings, they used to torment me because I have a real bad temper. I used to go crazy. I used to fight them and beat them up, but then I would always get in trouble. You know, we got whoopings. We don't call them spanking up for themselves. We got whooping, belts, switches, and everything. They would, bully me, and then I couldn't fight no more. My mom told me not to, so I was punching holes in walls and breaking doors and stuff like that. They put like this, my family always treated me like shit. Kids are mean and stuff like that, but then when your mom and people like treat you like shit and you like don't really feel like you're important. Like now my family try to like me now and try to be cool with me now because I'm popular. They should have did that shit a long time ago.
Laughing as they called him by the name that would one day define his persona in the fight world.
I only had the nickname Rampage.
My cousin named me that when I was 8 years old from the damn video game.
So it wasn't from you going on a rampage?
Well, yeah. I used to do that in the house, but he was like, oh, you just like that video game you played, Rampage.
In high school, Jackson found an outlet in wrestling at Raleigh Egypt High.
I started wrestling when I was 17 years old.
Earning all-state honors and placing 5th at the Tennessee State Tournament at 189 pounds.
And we moved to a different side of Memphis, and then I started wrestling, and nobody knew anything about me. When I started wrestling in high school, I was disappointed when I found out it wasn't pro wrestling. Because, I grew up in a certain side of Memphis where we didn't have wrestling in high school. And then my mom remarried, we moved to a better side of Memphis, and the schools was better, and they had a wrestling team. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go join this pro wrestling team. And I get there, and like they got singlets on, they wearing headgear, they all hugging on each other, and I'm like, what the hell is this? It's mats. I'd never seen it. And coach was like, what you thought you was about to do? I was like, what a ring.
During this time, he also befriended karate practitioner Jacob Noe, and the two exchanged techniques. Jackson teaching wrestling in return for striking lessons. Originally dreaming of becoming a pro wrestler, he continued wrestling at Lassen Community College in California.
Did you fall in love with collegiate wrestling?
Oh man, I fell in love with it because I would pick people up and slam them. And my coach, he taught me how to slam people legally. My coach gave me a couple of matches and I lost 5 matches in a row. And my little brother gave me the chain. And then after that, I went undefeated all the way up to regional finals.
But was expelled after a campus brawl.
What'd you go to jail for?
One of my teammates was a fucking asshole, and he hit me in the mouth with, the payphone. I got this scar on my lip wherever side it is. Motherfucker hit me in the mouth, and I tried to kill him. And he went to the hospital. I went to jail. It was self-defense. But the problem was, what fucked me up is that I went back and stumped him some more. And I think that was no longer self-defense once you did that. And I didn't know. I was in the moment. Going to jail at that time, that changed my life because remember I got a real bad temper. That taught me how to control my temper. Going to jail because I hated jail. I was there for like 47 days up in Susanville.
That setback led him to mixed martial arts.
When I was like 21, my friend from high school actually fucking got me into the sport. I was like, damn, you can get paid for kicking ass and you don't go to jail? Sign me up. And 2 months later, I was fighting, dog.
Training in Las Vegas with fighter Louis Rumble, Jackson quickly adapted. He debuted in 1999 on the regional circuit, amassing a 10-1 record in promotions like King of the Cage and Gladiator Challenge.
My first pro fight was in King Cage.
His trademark became brutal body slams, which, along with his intensity, made him a rising prospect and caught the attention of bigger organizations.
You came out with like the chain.
Yeah. I've been wearing chains since high school, bro.
So you didn't do that for fighting. That was you.
Yeah, that was me.
Rampage Jackson's big break came in 2001, when Japan's famed Pride Fighting Championships brought him overseas. However, weeks before his Pride debut on July 29, 2001, Rampage was briefly arrested in Memphis on an old charge.
And so they bailed me out of jail, and I go to Japan And by the time I get to Japan, I'm already a star. Asking me for my autograph, I've never even fought there. I'm just getting to the hotel.
At Pride 15, he debuted against Japanese legend Kazushi Sakuraba.
Pride ran this story in the newspaper. They got this bad boy out of jail to come in just to fight Sakuraba. So the fans went crazy.
Promoters hyped him with a colorful storyline, even marketing him as a homeless man turned fighter to intrigue fans.
Yeah, they said I was homeless. And people in Japan believed it. Like, at the time, I wasn't homeless. I lived in an RV at the time. Because I had moved to California. I dropped everything to be a fighter. So I left my family and everything. I had a good job back home. Dropped everything.
Though Jackson lost by rear naked choke, his relentless slams and toughness won over the Japanese crowd, who saw potential in the raw American wrestler.
You slammed this dude like 5 times on his head.
I was going to throw him out the ring, but I think Pride overheard me telling my people. They told me if I threw him out the ring, they was never going to bring me back.
His early Pride run had ups and downs. He scored his first win by knocking out Yuki Ishikawa, suffered a disqualification loss to Daijiro Matsui for a low blow, but soon hit his stride. Rampage racked up victories over names like Masaki Satake.
There's going to be a slam. Oh! You know, Satake doesn't move. There's something wrong. He landed.
Igor Vovchanchin, Kevin Randleman, and Mikhail Ilukun.
Where else can you pick a motherfucker up over your head, slam his ass, and stomp him in the face? Then they don't let Knight get a fucking big wad of cash for doing it. You can't do that shit nowhere else in the world.
He even tried kickboxing under K1 rules.
You're a Pride fighter, and this is K1 ring. Yeah. What made you decide to come up on this ring?
It's a payday for me. You gotta pay the bills.
That's the only reason?
Yeah, shit. I'm not a kickboxer.
Famously knocking out Cyril Abidi in 2002, and then beating him again in a rematch on New Year's Eve. By then, Jackson had become a fan favorite in Japan, recognized instantly for his steel chain and trademark wolf-like howl during entrances. One of Pride's defining rivalries was born in 2003 when Rampage entered the middleweight Grand Prix. He beat Murilo Bustamante, then shocked the world by stopping UFC champion Chuck Liddell in the semifinals. Hours later, in the same night, he fought Pride's most feared striker, Wanderlei Silva.
That guy was so vicious. He just walked around mad the whole time. You know, all the fighters in Japan were scared of him. That's why he didn't like me, because I was never afraid of him.
It's on. It's on, folks.
Pride Wanderlei was a scary man.
He was a savage.
Rampage fought bravely, even bloodying Silva early, but was ultimately overwhelmed by knees in the Muay Thai clinch and knocked out in the tournament final.
Quinton's in trouble here. Quinton is definitely in trouble here. Oh, another
He's got to get out. These knees are connecting. He's in big trouble. Oh, a right. Another right foot right into there.
Look at smiled at him right there.
He is. Wanderlei smiling at him, and that is it.
That's the end of it.
Just mad dog.
Need him 50 times, man.
Oh, he was so crazy.
He bounced back with highlight moments. On Pride's 2003 New Year's Eve show, he stopped Ikuhisa Minowa, and in 2004 delivered one of the sport's most famous finishes. Caught in a triangle choke by Ricardo Arona, Rampage lifted him high and slammed him unconscious with a thunderous powerbomb, a knockout still replayed in MMA history.
Gotta get out. Trying. Oh, Dan, I told you, he picked him up and slammed him to the ground. He's out. He knows. Unbelievable. All the way. Oh, he knocks him out.
The fact that you pulled off a powerbomb in Pride is unbelievable.
That was a Hail Mary. I had to end that fight. That guy, if he would have kicked me one more time, I couldn't pretend like I wasn't in pain.
Dude, that is, to this day, the greatest slam in the history of the sport.
And I got really popular in Japan.
I suck dick. I suck dick. Okay? Yeah. You do. You do? No, I don't. You do. You do. Yeah.
Outside the ring, Jackson announced he was a born-again Christian in 2004.
One day I just had this crazy dream, and I was at home, and it seemed like it was a devil in my chest. Had some female spirits around, and he was saying, "It's okay, it's okay, it's okay." And I was like, just laying there in my dream, and I heard a voice say, "Do you know this man?" I was like, "No." And he said, "Well, you're not okay." "Well, it's not okay." I said, "Oh," and I jumped up, and I was scared. And I went to go wake my son up. He said he was dreaming. He wouldn't tell me his dream because he didn't like me that much. So my friend finally got out of him. He said when my dad woke me up, God and the devil was fighting, and God hit the devil with the sword. And when I woke him up, he just did like this, just purged a lot of white pus out of his mouth.
What?
Yeah, crazy. True story.
Even changing his tattoo from Street Soldier to God's Street Soldier.
Me and my son, we went to go sleep over one of my friend's house. This what brought me to being born again, what Christians say. I had to take a piss, and my son was wet in the bed. I was finna wet the bed and blame it on him because I was too scared to go to the bathroom. What I did, I prayed to God because my dad just got saved like 2 years before, and he said he was praying for me. I remember when my dad said, he said, oh, when you pray to God, just say in Jesus' name. So I was like, God, I'm a coward right now. Just take this fear from my heart. In Jesus' name, I love you. Amen. And within 2 minutes, I was laughing and crying at the same time, and I received the Holy Ghost Spirit, and I wasn't afraid. I went to go use the restroom. My eyes were different. Everything was different, right?
But his renewed faith didn't spare him in the rematch with Wanderlei Silva later that year.
I started training for Wanderlei, then got closer to the fight, and I was like, I'm gonna kill this motherfucker. I'm gonna kill him. And I'm thinking in my mind like, I'm Christian now. I can't be thinking like that. It's the most confusing part of my life. So I fasted like an idiot because I read in the Bible, you fast, you get closer to God and all that stuff. And it's true, I got closer to God, but it wasn't a good idea to fast before a fucking championship fight. 4 days before the fight when I ended my fast.
Despite dropping Silva early, Rampage was again mauled in the clinch and knocked out cold against the ropes.
45 remaining round 2, and Jackson walks into a right hand, and he's stunned. He's a middleweight tournament.
Oh my God, Quinton Jackson has been knocked out.
The crazy thing about that knockout is I remember every second of it. I was hanging on the ropes with my arms like this. I was like, damn, I just got knocked the fuck out.
He gave me 2 of the worst ass whoopings I ever had in my career.
Silva's second brutal finish cemented their rivalry as one of Pride's greatest. In 2005, Rampage edged Murillo Ninja Rua by split decision, but was dominated later that year by Ninja's brother, Shogun Rua, who finished him with stomps and soccer kicks. After taking heavy damage in these Pride wars, Jackson looked for a new direction.
People counted me out after I lost to Shogun in Pride because I found religion and I wasn't doing well. I had a slump in my career.
Trainer Juanito Ibarra, himself a Christian, offered guidance and management. Under Ibarra's mentorship, Rampage closed out his Pride run with wins over Hirotaka Yokoi and Yon Dong-sik in 2006, just as the Japanese MMA boom was beginning to fade.
I left Pride right when it was going down.
By 2006, the UFC was booming, and Rampage Jackson's star power made him a prime target. That summer, he fought Olympic silver medalist Matt Lindland in the World Fighting Alliance, edging out a split decision. Soon after, the UFC's parent company purchased the WFA and with it, Jackson's contract.
Dana White bought an organization just to get me because I left Pride and I went to WFA. And my manager at the time, he became like the president of WFA, so he had to stop being my manager.
The UFC bought the whole organization just to get my contract so I can fight Chuck Liddell, because that was the time when Chuck Liddell was avenging all his losses. And I was the last one. I was the last one on his list, the last guy to beat him that he didn't come back and defeat.
Quinton admitted he had long avoided the UFC out of loyalty to his friend Tito Ortiz.
I tried to stay away from the UFC because at that time Tito was champion. Tito and I, we used to train together. I used to be on Team Punishment with Tito back in the day. I didn't want to fight Tito.
But with Ortiz's blessing, the move finally happened. Jackson debuted at UFC 67 in February 2007 against Marvin Eastman, the man who had handed him his first professional loss years earlier. This time, Rampage avenged it violently, knocking Eastman out with a crushing right hand. His charisma and knockout power were undeniable, and the UFC wasted no time giving him a title shot.
Did you think you were going to get that title shot?
No, I had no idea they was going to give me a title shot. After the fight, I think Joe Rogan asked me, would I be ready for Chuck? And I said, no, I'm not ready for Chuck. Knowing the whole time I was ready for Chuck.
Yeah.
If I said I wanted Chuck, they probably wouldn't have gave him to me.
On May 26, 2007, at UFC 71, Rampage rematched Chuck Liddell for the light heavyweight championship. Just 90 seconds in, he floored Liddell with a right hook and finished him on the ground.
Good left hook to the bottom.
Jackson became UFC champion with a stunning first-round knockout, instantly breaking into the mainstream as one of the sport's biggest stars, and one of the few fighters to beat Liddell twice.
The title came too soon.
What do you mean it came too soon?
Nobody knew who I was. People booed me, but that's when I started not liking the fans. I never been booed for knocking somebody out before in my life.
I trained so hard for Chuck. I just knew I was going to beat him. It was not one doubt in my mind. I just knew Chuck couldn't fuck with me. People, they thought I was finished because in Japan I had turned real religious religious.
Later that year, at UFC 75 in London, Jackson defended his belt against Pride champion Dan Henderson. In a grueling 5-rounder, Rampage won by unanimous decision, becoming the first fighter ever to unify a Pride and UFC title.
I'm actually the first ever unified champion in MMA. I beat Chuck Liddell, got the belt. The UFC wanted me to unify the belts with Dan Henderson.
Yeah, he had 2 belts, so you had the Pride champion facing the UFC champion at the time, and then when you guys fought, that unified because they basically absorbed the Pride, and a lot of people don't realize that, right?
Fans loved his trademark chain, wolf howls, and playful interviews just as much as his wins.
No, you cool in person, but on the phone, man, you got some big balls or something. I didn't think so, because Chuck really tough. And I didn't know. Yeah! Let me take this in front of you.
By early 2008, Rampage was a household name. He was tapped to coach the Ultimate Fighter 7 opposite Forrest Griffin, showcasing his fiery, often comedic personality, smashing doors when his fighters lost and keeping the season entertaining.
I'm whoop for his ass.
The two coaches eventually met at UFC 86, with Rampage defending his title. It was a back-and-forth war. Jackson dropped Griffin in the first round with his trademark power, but Griffin's relentless leg kicks slowed him down.
I had never been leg kicked like that before.
After 5 rounds, the judges awarded Griffin a unanimous decision. Jackson had lost his belt in a razor-close fight, one even Griffin admitted could have gone either way.
You just think you beat me in that fight?
I think I do think I beat you in the fight.
No immediate rematch came. Instead, Jackson's career took an unexpected and infamous turn. Just weeks after losing his title, Quinton Jackson suffered a severe mental and emotional breakdown that led to one of the most infamous incidents of his career. On July 15, 2008, Rampage went on a reckless drive through Newport Beach in Costa Mesa in his lifted pickup truck, emblazoned with his own face on the side. He ran red lights, hit several cars, even drove on sidewalks, and refused to stop for police. The chase, straight out of a movie, ended with Jackson detained at gunpoint. Reports described him on his cell phone mid-pursuit, acting incoherent.
The whole thing didn't make sense to me. When it went down, I was like, the only thing I thought is he must have taken drugs or something. He must have taken drugs or gotten drunk. I mean, which wasn't his personality. It was baffling.
He was arrested and charged with felony evading, hit and run, and reckless driving. In the aftermath, speculation swirled about his mental state. Dana White flew in to help and revealed that Rampage had been awake for days, not eating, and living only on energy drinks after the Griffin loss.
So I jumped on a plane. I was actually at the police station before he was. That's how fast I got there. I live in Nevada, he lives in California. Got over there and it ended up, they tested him for drugs, no drugs in his system, no alcohol.
Doctors diagnosed him with a severe case of delirium, brought on by exhaustion and dehydration. He was placed on a 72-hour psychiatric hold.
Rampage is a religious guy, and after he lost the fight to Forrest Griffin, it was the middle of the summer, he stayed in Vegas and went on some kind of fast where he wasn't eating or drinking water. All he was doing was drinking energy drinks. He was dehydrated, he had exhaustion, and he ended up getting what's called delirium, and you have to be treated for it.
Dana White flew to Orange County and posted the $25,000 bail to help Jackson with his legal troubles. Jackson later explained that he had been fasting and reading the Bible intensely, convinced he was hearing God's voice.
So wherever I read from the Bible and I watched The Secret, the DVD, The Secret, I watched that, and in my mind, I come up with this thing that we will ourselves, and you can will yourself to die. My friends were telling me to go to sleep, and I said, I sleep when I'm dead. I sleep when I die. And I said, and I will it. Now I'm like, whoa. I had to change my will, but I got scared to go to sleep at this point in time. This is the time when I wanted to go to sleep now. I had been up for a while, Now I want to go to sleep. And then I said that, and I got scared to go to sleep, and I started drinking energy drinks. I had another spiritual awakening, like God told me to go to the door, but my ex-wife and stuff was right there, and she said, well, she heard the doorbell, but I didn't hear the doorbell, so I went to the door and I preached and stuff like that. Me not sleeping and not eating for long periods of time made my mind, I was delusional. Now I look back at it, I wasn't right.
In that delusional state, he believed a friend named Brian was in mortal danger and that only he could save him.
I called my friend and said, are you at home? And yeah, I said, I'm coming over. So I run out there and I want to jump in my fast car, but my truck was parked behind it. I'm like, oh my goodness, my truck is never parked behind this car. But, the night before, I was out driving my truck. I just got it back.
During the chase, Rampage thought if he didn't reach Brian in time, his friend would die.
I thought I was saving his life. His life was at stake.
In reality, it was all a hallucination from sleep deprivation. He even admitted he was afraid to sleep, believing when God or Jesus reveals himself to you, the devil comes too.
From now that I know what it was, I wasn't eating, so I had low blood sugar, and I hadn't slept for like week or so. I lost track of time.
And at one point invited strangers into his home to read scripture with him.
I was talking to like Muslims, all my friends. I was talking to people trying to learn stuff that the Bible really don't talk about. I wanted to know, why did the devil become the devil? I was on a quest or something. My mind was, I was delusional. I was searching for some spiritual enlightenment.
The bizarre meltdown made global headlines. Some blamed an energy drink overdose. Others rumored he had been obsessed with the self-help book, The Secret.
I came to the conclusion that I thought that the only way we died is by willing ourselves to die.
Jackson insisted it was his Bible fasting. Whatever the trigger, he had clearly experienced a temporary psychosis. Legally, Rampage was fortunate no one was seriously injured. With UFC support, he struck a plea deal, pleading guilty to 1 felony count of evading police and 1 misdemeanor of reckless driving.
I decided to plead guilty so, I accept responsibility for what I've done, and I don't want to put those people through anymore.
He avoided jail, received 3 years probation, and was ordered to undergo mental health evaluation. By the fall of 2008, Jackson publicly apologized, blaming delirium and poor diet, and vowed to move forward.
People think that I was running from the police and with a picture on the side of my truck like I'm that stupid. I didn't even know the police was there. How can I run from police with a big picture on my truck? So my whole objective was to save my friend's life. That was the car that I so happened to be in. It didn't even dawn on me what had happened. I didn't even remember what had happened because my mind wasn't right.
The incident revealed a rare vulnerability in the usually fun-loving, trash-talking star. By year's end, Rampage seemed back to his old self, howling, joking, and preparing to fight again.
How much you weighing these days, by the way? Is that sensitive?
Business, man. Man, it's right after Thanksgiving, dog.
Just months after the July 2008 meltdown, Rampage was back doing what he did best, fighting. The UFC stood by him through his legal troubles, and on December 27, 2008, he met old rival Wanderlei Silva at UFC 92. Silva had knocked him out twice before in Pride, but this time a focused Rampage ended the trilogy with a thunderous first-round left hook, flattening Silva cold and sealing it with 2 follow-up punches.
Good left hand. Silva is out. It is all. Wow. Quinton Rampage Jackson.
It was cathartic redemption. The win proved to fans and to himself that he was back to normal after the chaos of that summer. He followed up on March 7, 2009 at UFC 96, beating Keith Jardine by unanimous decision after dropping him hard in the 3rd round. That victory set up a long-hyped title showdown with new champion Rashad Evans, and the two even faced off in the cage afterwards to stoke anticipation. But Jackson came out of the fight nursing injuries, including torn ligaments in his jaw, which delayed the matchup. Instead, the UFC slotted him opposite Evans as a coach on the Ultimate Fighter 10, heavyweights. The season, featuring Kimbo Slice, was one of the UFC's highest rated. It showcased Rampage's brash humor and sharp tongue.
Hey, Rashad, let's fight.
Make you quit.
You gonna make me quit?
I'm gonna make you quit.
You gonna make me quit?
Make you quit.
Dude, I know you just didn't do that.
Yes, I did.
Dude,
You know I did.
you came on my face.
So what?
But also sparked controversy. He relentlessly taunted fighter Daryl Schoonover, nicknaming him Titties in front of teammates and cameras.
He got titties. He got titties.
We've got titties.
One of the fighters, he was kind of like a, fat, pudgy guy, like a heavyweight, and he had some titties. Come on, Tid, let's make up, man. Come on. Come on, Titties. Are you serious? Come on, Titties. I'm supposed to be scared of you, Titties? No. You really think I'm supposed to be scared of you?
Many fans and media criticized it as bullying. Jackson never let it go, later claiming Schoonover had disrespected him and even saying he'd still fight him years later.
I got branded a bully because somebody was making fun of me. Look at him. He getting mad at me. He trying to come at me.
By the end of 2009, Rampage vs. Evans was the UFC's hottest grudge match. It was scheduled for UFC 107 in December, but Hollywood intervened. Jackson was offered the role of B.A. Baracus in the A-Team movie remake, stepping into the shoes of Mr. T. Filming conflicted with the fight, and Rampage chose acting. Dana White blasted the decision, and Rampage fired back, accusing the UFC of disrespect.
Rampage thought that the movie business was the answer to all his fucking dreams and everything else, and that didn't work out too good. The pay over there wasn't what he thought it was. The pay over here was a lot better. A lot better. The grass is always greener, man, until it's not there anymore. And then you realize you made a lot of mistakes and you should have done things different.
I fucked up my relationship with the UFC by doing that fucking movie over that Rashad fight.
What was the movie?
18.
Oh, that's right.
That's when I fucked up my relationship with Dana and everybody.
You're playing the role that Mr. T made famous on the TV show. That seems like a good reason to turn down a fight.
Yeah, but the fight, it was a big fight. It was a fight with Rashad Evans in my hometown. But it was the hardest decision of my life. I lost money doing the movie, but I'm not really fueled by money. I'm not, I don't love money. I always wanted to do that movie. It just came at a bad time.
On September 22nd, 2009, he stunned fans by announcing on his blog that he was done fighting and retiring from MMA. For a few months, it seemed real. Rampage filmed The A-Team with Liam Neeson and Bradley Cooper, set for release in 2010. But by December, he patched things up with the UFC, promising to finish his contract and finally face Evans. When Rampage finally squared off with Rashad Evans at UFC 114, it was one of the year's biggest grudge matches. Evans dropped Jackson early and used his wrestling to control most of the fight. Rampage roared back in the third round, rocking Evans badly, but Rashad survived and won a unanimous decision. The loss was a blow, and Rampage admitted ring rust played a part. Critics began to wonder if Hollywood and outside distractions had dulled his hunger for fighting. Still, Rampage remained a top contender. In November 2010, he headlined UFC 123 against Lyoto Machida. It was a clash of styles, Rampage's power and pressure against Machida's elusive karate. After 3 close rounds, Jackson got the nod by split decision, though many fans felt it could have gone the other way. Dana White defended the result, saying Rampage had clearly won 2 rounds.
Rampage fought the perfect fight tonight. He just won 2 out of 3 rounds, and he's laying around like he just lost the fight.
Next came UFC 130 in May 2011, where Rampage faced late replacement Matt Hamill after Thiago Silva failed a drug test. Jackson's takedown defense held strong, and he outstruck Hamill to a clear unanimous decision. With back-to-back wins, he was granted another title shot. On September 24th, 2011, Rampage challenged rising phenom John Jones at UFC 135.
I kept having these nightmares, and actual nightmares of Rampage Jackson knocking me out. On fight night, I was getting these signals from a higher power that, like, John, this is gonna happen to you tonight. I just had this super deep prayer where I got down on my knees and I touched my body from my head to my toe. As I was praying this prayer and touching myself and rubbing myself and meaning every ounce of this, thinking my life is on the line, I noticed, looking at myself, that I was covered in feathers. White
like
feathers.
A hallucination?
It wasn't a hallucination, man. It was very real to me. Covered in, like, there was like small feathers in between my fingers, and I was covered in feathers, and they came up like to my neck, and my face was still like normal, not in feathers, but my hands and feet were covered. I felt like I was like this fighting thing that wasn't earthly, almost. I was just like, woo! Woo!
Determined and well-prepared, Jackson pushed forward, but Jones' length, creativity, and youth proved overwhelming. By the 4th round, Jones secured a rear naked choke, forcing Rampage to tap, the first submission loss of his UFC career. Gracious in defeat, he admitted Jones was simply the better man, and that a new era had arrived. After the title fight, his relationship with the UFC soured. In February 2012, Rampage fought Ryan Bader at UFC 144 in Japan, but missed weight by 5 pounds.
Mr. Jackson is overweight, and he is going to have to give up 20% of his purse to Ryan Bader.
Though he landed a trademark slam, Bader controlled the fight and won on points.
When I lost to Ryan Bader in Japan, I got injured before that fight, and I called Dana right away. I said, I got a partial tear in my meniscus. He said, what you gonna do? I said, shit, man, it's Japan. I still want to fight, and I love fighting Japan. And I fought, and I lost by decision. First thing Dana do in the press conference, like, I don't know what's going on with Rampage. I don't think he has it. I don't think he wanted it anymore.
A lot of people have been saying that Rampage just wasn't motivated. He came in overweight. Obviously, this was a big fight for him, but he didn't look good out there. What did you make of his whole performance tonight?
I'm disappointed. You know what I mean? I think that Rampage is so talented. I just question whether he wants to do this anymore. I have been since, probably the A-Team movie.
Did you get a chance to talk to him after the fight and get a sense for where he's at?
2 seconds right here. He said, I'm sorry, and I want to fight again, and I'll come back, and I'll be better. So we'll see what happens.
Jackson immediately went public with his frustrations, tweeting that he wanted out of the UFC.
After all that shit Dana did to me, when he did that shit, that's when I kind of got pissed at him. And I lost my love for fighting right there. I'd never pulled out of a fight. I don't pull out, man. I got 4, 5, 6 kids.
Then his next fight was against rising contender Glover Teixeira.
We fought on a couple cards, and there was one card we were fighting on. You were so pissed off at the UFC. We're at the press conference. You were playing your fucking PS Vita the whole entire time. Your PSP or PS Vita. You were just sitting there like, I ain't talking to nobody.
I don't mean to what are you playing PS3? What is that? Okay.
Have you had a chance to talk to Dana while you're here in Chicago?
We talked before, man. Me and Dana, we on a, you know what I'm saying, mutual.
Rampage fought hard but couldn't keep pace, losing by unanimous decision. With that, his UFC run ended. Now a free agent, Rampage voiced his bitterness openly, saying he felt underpaid, disrespected, and restricted by UFC sponsorship rules.
UFC took my Reebok deal from me. So I was with Reebok and they wanted to sponsor me, and I was doing commercials for them, and they wanted to be on my shorts and stuff for the UFC, and Dana White was like, you can't be sponsored by Reebok. We don't have a relationship with Reebok. I was like, you don't got a relationship with my other sponsors either. You know, this ain't got nothing to do with you. I'm an independent contractor. You guys can't tell me what I can and can't have on my shorts. Reebok was liking that they was getting more press by not being able to be on my shorts than they think they would have gotten just by being on my shorts. And Reebok didn't do the deal with me. Next thing you know, the whole UFC is sponsored by Reebok. Yeah, and I didn't get not like 1 cent. Like, I'm the type of guy I believe in karma, and I was watching that Reebok deal play out, and it seems like it wasn't a good deal because Reebok's not there anymore.
Dana White countered that Rampage was aging and declining.
Feel like I've been there for Rampage. Feel like I've done right for him. You know, the guy came out in an interview and said skateboarders make more than him. Rampage has made from 2007 to 2012 $15.2 million in the UFC. I know a lot of skateboarders. Unless they're talking about Tony Hawk or Rob Dyrdek or one of those guys, skateboarders aren't making $15.2 million.
Either way, Jackson's UFC chapter had closed, and he was ready to look for a fresh start elsewhere. After leaving the UFC, Rampage shocked many by signing with Bellator MMA in June 2013.
You said when you signed with Bellator, you felt like you were reborn. What do you mean?
A lot of people don't know this, but when you're a fighter, your first fight is with the promoter. The promoter job is to
get as much money for him.
Right, yeah. When I signed with Bellator, Bjorn Rebner, he just gets it. It seems like he used to be a fighter, like he understood everything. We didn't argue about nothing at all. You know, he didn't feed me a bunch of BS.
Which happened to you before?
Plenty of time.
Same thing with Tito.
Same thing with Tito, and this is why I joined Bellator. A lot of fight fans don't understand, like, oh, why you leave this one organization to go to Bellator? They would never understand. You gotta walk from out to understand.
It wasn't hard then to leave UFC.
No, it wasn't. It was very easy for me to leave UFC. Very easy. I just didn't like the way they treated me. Simple as that.
My deal wasn't just with Bellator, it was with Paramount, and they wanted a fighter that can act to do movies. They promised me movies, reality show, pro wrestling, and fights, and so I signed a deal with them.
The deal also included crossover appearances with TNA Wrestling and even a reality show to hype his debut. Bellator promoted him as one of their biggest signings.
I was getting paid, bro.
He was originally booked to fight Tito Ortiz, but when Ortiz pulled out injured, Rampage instead faced Joey Beltran at Bellator 108. He showed flashes of his old knockout power, stopping Beltran with a barrage of punches just 1 second before the end of round 1. The win snapped his 3-fight skid and reintroduced him as a force. In early 2014, Rampage entered Bellator's light heavyweight tournament. He blasted former champion Christian Mpumbu with a first-round knockout, then met rival King Mo Lawal in the finals. The build-up turned heated, with Rampage shoving Lawal at weigh-ins and earning a $10,000 fine. At Bellator 120, Rampage won a close but disputed decision, capturing the Season 10 tournament championship and earning a title shot. But by late 2014, things soured. Rampage accused Bellator's new management of breaking promises, and in December, he stunned fans by announcing he had re-signed with the UFC. Bellator responded with a lawsuit, and for months the two sides fought in court.
Like, you left, you went to UFC, you left the UFC, then you came back to UFC, correct?
Oh yeah, that's right. I think I was like one of the only fighters to be under contract with Bellator and UFC at the same time.
Initially pulled from UFC 186, Rampage was reinstated just days before the event and returned to beat Fabio Maldonado by decision at a 215-pound catchweight.
But Mababo, how you say his name?
Fabio Maldonado.
Fabio Mababo, he's a boxer. And I was like, man, this guy's got moxie. He's going to stand with me.
Ultimately, Bellator won the legal battle, and by 2016, Jackson was back under their banner. He beat Olympic judoka Satoshi Ishii by split decision, but in 2017 lost a rematch to King Mo, who out-wrestled a heavier Rampage. Even so, Bellator re-signed him on a multi-fight deal later that year. In 2018, Rampage entered Bellator's heavyweight Grand Prix, weighing over 250 pounds to face Chael Sonnen. Despite the size advantage, Sonnen repeatedly took him down and won a decision. Rampage's weight and conditioning were now becoming a concern. That September, however, he delivered a nostalgic highlight, knocking out Wanderlei Silva in their 4th meeting, evening their legendary rivalry at 2-2.
So you can use that counter.
Jackson lands a jab. Right cross from Silva. Jackson ground and pound.
His final Bellator bout came on December 29, 2019 in Japan against Fedor Emelianenko. It was billed as a dream matchup at the Saitama Super Arena, but Rampage entered at his heaviest ever and visibly out of shape. Fedor's speed overwhelmed him, and Rampage was stopped by TKO in the first round. The loss marked the end of his Bellator run. At 41 years old, Jackson once again became a free agent, leaving fans to wonder if he would finally retire or keep fighting elsewhere. After 2019, Rampage stepped away from active competition, but he never officially retired. In interviews, he clarified that he hadn't quit MMA. He just hadn't fought since the COVID-19 pandemic began in 2020. Instead, he started exploring unconventional opportunities. In April 2023, Rampage appeared in Thailand's Wild Fight Circus promotion, teaming with former Pride giant Bob Sapp in a 2-on-2 boxing match, all 4 fighters tied together inside a giant t-shirt. Rampage and Sapp scored a third-round KO, with Jackson later calling it the most fun I've ever had in a ring.
Yeah, me and Bob Sapp in a 2-man t-shirt. I can only use my right hand. He can only use his left hand, and we fought 2 dudes. That shit was so fun.
Oh, that's crazy.
Man, that was the most fun I ever had in the ring, bro.
Still, the disappointment of his last fight with Fedor lingered. Throughout 2023, Rampage admitted he'd let himself go, showing up far too heavy, and even joked that fan fat-shaming motivated him to get back in shape. By mid-year, he was eyeing a comeback, targeting December 2023 for an MMA return with the upstart UFL. His dream opponent wasn't a champion, but Daryl Schoonover, the TUF contestant he'd mocked as titties back in 2009. Jackson insisted he still held that grudge and wanted to settle it in the cage.
So what would have happened if you ever fought titties?
I fuck titties up.
You would have.
And I titty fuck them.
As of mid-2023, Schoonover hadn't agreed, but the call-out showed what fueled Rampage even in his mid-40s: old rivalries and unfinished business. Rampage has also chased boxing. In early 2024, he signed to face former heavyweight champion Shannon Briggs in Qatar. The fight was hyped with trash talk and press events, but collapsed before fight night. Still, Rampage has made it clear, before he's done, he wants to step into a boxing ring for real. Outside of fighting, life has slowed down. Jackson lives in California with his children and has reflected openly on the sacrifices of his career.
I would have to honestly say my biggest regret is even starting this sport. I think I would have lived a different life if I would have stayed home in Memphis and worked at the family business. My family, we do construction. My dream was to go and be a fighter, but then now I look back on it, I wish, that I would just stay back home with my family.
He's spoken about wondering if staying in Memphis, working in construction, might have given him more peace. Yet he also acknowledges fighting gave him fame, security, and a family of his own in California.
Well, I gained a lot of fans, made a lot of money, but I feel like I lost my family.
Rampage has never left showbiz entirely. His Hollywood debut in The A-Team didn't make him an A-lister, but he went on to appear in B-movies, TV cameos, and in 2024, he popped up at Josh Barnett's Bloodsport in Japan, winning a stage fight that showed his old love for pro wrestling never left. Even now, Rampage Jackson stands at the crossroads of fighter, entertainer, and showman. He hasn't shut the door on fighting, whether in MMA or boxing, and continues to live up to the name he earned as a kid in Memphis, Rampage. Fans loved his howling, chain-wearing swagger and sharp one-liners, but his unfiltered antics often stirred backlash. He was criticized for unsettling stunts with female reporters, once pretending to motorboat an interviewer, another time dry humping one on camera.
So I was doing all this stuff, and then I was told, like, oh, you gotta stay away from this, you gotta stay away from that, stop humping reporters, and all this stuff. And I'm like, now I look back, like, man, I was the first Conor McGregor. I was Conor
What he considered jokes drew accusations of harassment.
Are you black?
Part, yeah.
I love all parts of you.
I'm Jamaican, black and white.
She's just making me horny. I want a motorboat right now. All on camera, like, I be humping reporters, so you might not.
I've seen it.
You might want to get away. I've been a long training camp. Get away from me. Get away.
Love him or hate him, Rampage was never boring. That unpredictability has even carried over into the next generation. On August 23, 2025, Rampage's son Raja Jackson made headlines after violently assaulting pro wrestler Stuart Psycho Stu Smith during a Los Angeles wrestling event.
Psycho Stu. Worried about Psycho Stu. Psycho Stu? What, you don't know me? Hell no. Hey, I think that's a little... Oh, you don't show it?
Live-streamed footage showed Raja body slamming Smith and then unleashing more than 20 punches as Smith lay motionless. The The assault, far beyond any scripted performance, left Smith hospitalized with serious injuries, though he was later reported to be stable. Rampage quickly apologized, saying Raja had suffered a concussion and had no business being in the ring. The LAPD has since launched an investigation, and Raja was banned from the streaming platform Kick after the disturbing footage went viral. The shocking incident cast a new and troubling shadow over the Jackson name. As of 2025, Rampage is 47 years old and stands as one of MMA's most beloved veterans. He hasn't fought since 2019 but insists he has never officially retired. Outside the cage, Rampage has leaned into new ventures. In recent years, he's launched his own podcast, blending comedy, fight talk, and personal storytelling in the same unfiltered style that made him a fan favorite. He's also picked up branding and sponsorship deals, working with gaming platforms, energy drink companies, and MMA gear brands. These projects keep him visible to fans while giving him fresh income streams after fighting. Much like his fighting days, Rampage uses his personality, blunt, funny, and unpredictable, as his biggest selling point. His career, however, speaks for itself. UFC light heavyweight champion, Pride Grand Prix finalist, Bellator tournament winner, one of the few fighters to succeed in all three major promotions. His thunderous powerbomb of Ricardo Arona, knockout of Chuck Liddell, and legendary rivalry with Wanderlei Silva remain etched in MMA history. Rampage has lived up to his name every step of the way. Whether or not he ever fights again, his place in combat sports lore is guaranteed. A larger-than-life character whose chaos continues into the next generation.
I don't know if I do this job to have a legacy. I just want people to remember me as a great entertainer and you know, like a great person, you know what I'm saying?